Welcome back to another episode of Tough Talk with 2-4 with your boy Emmanuel 2-4. And in this episode of Tough Talk with 2-4, we will be talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Let's start. Dallas Cowboys got to training camp off this week, and we heard the press conference with Jerry Jones. Had some interesting remarks about his opinions on the situation with Michael Parsons and his opinions on the situation with not just Micah Parsons, but also Trayvon Diggs in the rehab up after his injury, and then having Dak and that contract and everything. And I think with Jerry, we just come to that realization that you can't expect a crazy amount from him at the end of the day. You just really can't. He's a guy and Jerry Jones, and this is nothing against him. But Jerry Jones is just the guy where he's getting to that old age. And his opinion to stuff, you can't really take it to the most. You can't really take it to the highest regard. But on to Micah Parsons and his response to that, you could definitely see Micah Parsons was hurt from that. He seemed pretty hurt from those remarks. He seemed pretty unhappy with those remarks. Not looking like the best of the best. Whenever it came to his likeness with those remarks, and at the end of the day, when it comes to Micah and Trayvon Diggs, as a Cowboys, the fan base, we know how much we value Michael Parsons and Trayvon Diggs. And probably they understand that. You see Micah Parsons and the love he already has for Brian Schottenheimer, so he's not taking that. He's out there on that field because of Brian Schottenheimer. I mean, if I was Micah right now, I'm not the biggest to holding out, but you see the way your manager is treating you, the way he's talking about you in social media, and you feel like you one of the best defensive players on the planet right now in the National Football League. So you see all of that, and then you come to the realization, you hear him talk about you like that. It's just not the coolest of things. It's just not cool at all. So I understand that point of view from Micah Parsons. And yeah, but at the end of the day, Brian Schottenheimer, I think so far he is doing a great job. I can't give him more credit than he's already being given. I think he's doing a magnificent job. He has the players really committed. He's having some fun in practice. I'm seeing a couple of fights, and I understand some people might not like the fights and stuff like that. I kind of do like the fights. I kind of like the competitiveness. And a lot of people that I have seen in past years, especially on social media or in the stuff, get into fights. They're not liking that old Cowboys things. We literally come into multiple seasons and we talk about the lack of toughness about this Dallas Cowboys team, and we have seen that the toughness and through growing in practice, we see they want to fight more for each other. You see CD and Pickens, the bond they're creating. This is really becoming not only just a family, but this is becoming a actual NFL football team. A lot of teams they like to walk into our house and bully us out of our past years, and we just see a lack of toughness from or from each other. From whether it's from CD or we even get on Micah sometimes for his lack of toughness being a little bit too friendly and stuff like that. You can see that growing and the toughness growing, and really the culture is changing with Brian Schottenheimer. See a lot of players committed. You also see what's his name? Micah Parsons. Most players they're holding out. Micah Parsons is coming in and showing his is what's his name? Showing his care and his love for this team. And he says he even said it. If I didn't want to fight for Schottenheimer, I wouldn't be showing up to those practices. So you see, these guys really care about this guy. And that's one thing I can say that I do want out of the coach. They have a guy that was there last year. So they already have a bond with Brian Schottenheimer, and it's not only offensive guys have a bond with him. You have the defensive guys have a bond with him. Trayvon Diggs have a bond. Micah Parsons has a bond and stuff like that. Now, before we get on to the Trayvon Diggs drama, I just want to get on to what I see. I'm not mainly concerned, but that offense, from what I'm watching, that offense is frying the defenses in practice. Um, I know it's a lot of touch and stuff like that, so they're not going tackling in full speed, but that was crazy. That was pretty crazy. the clip where George Pickens just ran through all the defenders, even though he fumbled at the end of the play. You're not gonna get those many times on a Sunday where you're getting that fumble recovery. So that defense has been a little bit concerning to me, but this is a lot of new guys. We have Ezaraku, a rookie, coming in. We have um our cornerback rotation. A lot of them are young. We got Claire Elam in trade. We got Kenneth Murray in trade. We signed some D tackles and got some guys in there. So I'm not expecting it to be perfect. It's gonna take some time, and they got Eberflus, so they're still learning this things. Outside of George Pickens, this is an offense that has a lot of experience with each other. Outside of George Pickens and Tyler Booker, we've seen Tyler Smith. He's been here a year under this. 2 years under this offense. We see Guyton. He's been here a year under this. Brian Schottenheimer stuff. So a lot of these guys have been here for years. Dak, CD, Tolbert. So I'm expecting that offense to look more experienced, and I think that's what I just see from the practice footage. I just see an offense that's more experienced than that defense. So that's why I'm not really that concerned about it because I'm like I expect it to get picked up and become better. But at the end of the day, with that offense, I love what I'm seeing. Dak looks really accurate. And I said it the other day, telling some people, I was like, I think this year could be. And I remember a few years back, the year where Dak got injured, pandemic year, that was a year that he was averaging, it felt like 400 yards per week. With that offense, with CD, with a rookie CD, with Amari Cooper, with Michael Gallup. I know I love to talk about that team on this podcast a lot, but that was one of my favorite teams. Well, that was one of my most favorite units. Now let's get to the deep offense, the defensive side of that team. It wasn't really, it was probably the worst in Cowboys history. But that offensive side of the unit with Amari, with Michael Gallup, with CD, that was the second year of Zeke. Who remember when Tony Pollard, Jerry Jones, whenever Zeke was holding it out, Tony Pollard was the Zeke who of the equation. So that offense was really, really good. The one thing about that offense did was their turnovers. Remember whenever Zeke had a fumble problem before Dak's injury, Dak had like a turnover a week. But you expect that whenever he's throwing 58 passing attempts per game. So that's one thing. I think this offense can really become similar to that. Not really similar because I think one thing about that offense is they had the whole package. They had the O line, the offensive line that was the number one in the league for like years and years and years with the Zach Martin. I believe Frederick was gone. I believe Frederick was gone by then, but they had Zach Martin. Yeah, I definitely believe Frederick was gone by then. But they had Zach Martin. They had what's his name? Tyron Smith. They had a very experienced O line. They had a prime Zeke. That was his second year of Zeke off of the contract year, and we know prime Zeke was arguably the best running back in the National Football League. They had a great version of Tony Pollard who had a really good rookie season and was looking like the best running back tandem in the NFL. They had an offense with Amari Cooper who was solidifying himself as a top 10 receiver at the time. And then you had a Michael Gallup who was an 1,000-yard receiver as well with a rookie CD Lamb, I don't know if y'all remember, but that man was ridiculous. I mean, I don't want to put him up there, but rookie CD Lamb, I feel like if rookie CD Lamb had a healthy Dak Prescott, we would be putting him up there with rookie Justin Jefferson. Because those two, when they came in the league, you could tell they was that guy. Especially if y'all remember CD Lamb in that Browns game. CD really showed he was one of them ones. So that's whenever I think that offense was really. I think this offense can really be like that. They have two wide out ones. I think Pickens is really gonna show himself. I think y'all already know my opinions about Pickens. Really about just him not really being nervous about him because most of the problems are off the field. I don't think George Pickens is an off the field problem. Most of his problems are on the field and stuff like that. Really, you could see George Pickens and the way the people portray him that you would think this dude is like a thug or something like that. He looks like a really nice guy, like a really nice guy. And even CD Lamb says that like when you get to know George Pickens, and I never saw that side of him because he was one of my favorite wideouts in the league before he became a Cowboy. So I really paid attention to him like that. So whenever people were on him like that, like I didn't really see the problem because I'm like, this guy is not an off the field issue. He's not an off the field issue. All of his greatness comes back all of his greatness is, yeah, all right. He might jab with another with the opposing corner. But as the current state of the Cowboys have been at and the way we have lost games, we need a toughness. We need a guy that's going to rile you up like a George Pickens is going to do. And I feel like a guy with CeeDee Lamb comforting him, and I love what the Cowboys are doing. They have a guy like a CeeDee Lamb to comfort a George Pickens. Because really, George, whenever you're in a situation where you have a guy on the field, he can get emotional in the game. He can get mad if he's not getting targets. You want a guy right by him. And whenever he feels like he has a brother, like you see that tandem between CD and George Pickens. I really, really, really love that for George Pickens, that he has a guy right by him like a CD Lamb, and they seem like they're big brothers. When one guy's out of it, they're gonna keep each other in. So I think that mentally and the morale watch for the team is really, really, really good. Um, as of the Dak Prescott, like I said earlier, I think Dak Prescott, this could be a 5,000 yard passing season for him. And Chris Broussard brought it up. Yes, when you're down 30-18, you need empty calories. I don't think it's really about empty calories. I think this offense is just going to have so many opportunities to throw the football this season. And it's nothing against the run game, but let's be honest. Rico Dowdle, yes, he wasn't a 1,000 yard running back last year. But y'all remember how the season started last year? It was really, really shaky, and there was a lot of pass attempts. I feel like there's going to be more pass attempts that are actually going to lead to more effectiveness. Last year, outside of CeeDee Lamb, like I said after every week, outside of CeeDee Lamb, there was nobody that could really create things. And Jalen Tolbert, he's a great guy. He's a good receiver, but he isn't a receiver two. He's definitely not a receiver two on a championship winning team as we saw last season. Now, I think he can be a receiver two on a receiver three on a really, really good team, especially when you have two receiver ones that are going to create so many opportunities for you, like a CD Lamb and like a George Pickens. So I really like that. And I think this offense is definitely going to be more effective because last year was more of an empty calorie season because of the injuries on the O line and because of the problems this team had where there came to creating separation outside of just CD Lamb, where if you felt like you could put two guys on CD Lamb, that Prescott would be standing in that backfield for days, not finding anybody to be able to throw. I think people would become in more adapt situations and stuff like that. So I like that. But yes, for this Cowboys team, I love the way things are going right now. I'm not really mad or anything. Y'all know we're gonna have our prediction for our schedule in 2 weeks. Whenever I predict whether we win, lose, or draw on our schedule. But I think this is a big time season for Dak Prescott. Reason not only just because of the numbers, um, not only just because of the numbers after his years after injury. I just think this offense is set for Dak to succeed. We put our money, we put our mouths where our we put our mouths on our O line, where we said we're gonna go out there 3 straight years and draft offensive linemen and develop them. We did the same thing with what's his name? Not only just our O line, we did the same thing with going out there and getting a George Pickens. And even Jerry Jones even said that they did something that was out of their comfort zone that they don't usually do, and that's trade for a wide receiver too, because of the fans stuff. And up to the fans, that's what I tell y'all. I don't care if I. That's why I always say I know Jerry Jones might not hear me, but I'ma still say it always on this podcast because at the end of the day, you're gonna say your opinion and you're not gonna get anything out of you're not gonna lose anything from saying your opinion. If you think we need a wide receiver too, go out there and say that we need a wide receiver too. And then we'll maybe see if us saying we need a wide receiver too, it might happen. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't hurt from you saying your opinion. Jerry Jones goes out there and says because the fans wanted it and pushed for it, he went out there and got a wide receiver too. Now, the fact that the fan base needs to tell you that we needed a wide receiver too after in last season we needed a wide receiver too desperately. But yeah, with Jerry Jones and the whole situation, I hope that George Pickens is a multi-year thing because if he's a 1 year thing, I feel like you could have went out there and got a Devontae Adams. I feel like if you wanted a 1 year guy, there was many options that we could have traded for instead of George Pickens. Now, if this guy's a multi-year thing, I would love to see that. But in my honest opinion, if this is a 1 year thing for George Pickens, then I would have done something different then get a wide receiver too. Now I know this was probably they were probably planning to draft Tet, and then Tet got picked up by the Panthers, and that's probably why they went off and laid off with George Pickens. But I would have probably went out there and got Devontae if this is a 1 year thing. But we'll see. Joe Milton is something very interesting for this Cowboys team. I think Joe Milton is going to be pretty good for the Cowboys. I think that can really help him a lot because Joe Milton. I think Joe Milton going to the situation where he went to New England, he didn't really have anybody that could really mentor him and develop him. We know one thing about Joe Milton: he has the talent. I hear a lot of Tennessee fans and a lot of people that have watched Joe Milton play. They have said that he's if you watched him in practice you would think Joe Milton is one of the greatest. You would think Joe Milton is one of the best quarterbacks in the league because some people even say he's the best practice quarterback you have ever seen. I think that Joe Milton Dak Prescott could help Joe Milton increase his accuracy and just increase his next level of game. He has all the intangibles. He has the great throwing arc, can throw the ball probably 100 yards down the field. Is quick, is a fast quarterback. You can run RPO action with him. You can run QB draw with him. You can. He has the legs. I think one thing he just needs to become is more of an NFL level quarterback rather than just a playground outside recess quarterback because that's what he is right now because whenever he gets on the football field, his accuracy is not the greatest. His ability to just manage a NFL game from the first quarter to the fourth quarter is just not there, and that's why he really struggled with that Tennessee. And Tennessee could never meet his full potential. I think that can really help him with that because I think that what he is missing is what Dak brings, and I feel like if Dak can help develop him, I think with more of Trey Lance I don't know if I'm gonna be honest with you. I believe Joe Milton is more talented than Trey Lance. I know Trey Lance is the first round pick. I know all of that, but with everything that all the work and all the intangibles that we see in a Joe Milton, I feel like that can really help bring that and add to that extra level in Joe Milton's bag. And I think with that, we'll see what happens. But I really like this situation for Joe Milton. If it doesn't work out with Dak or Dak has an injury, I think Joe Milton could come there and become really great. And I think Dak can really help him with that. Now to the Trayvon Diggs situation, I think Trayvon Diggs. I mean, with Diggs, I don't know what's going on over there with the injury and all of that. I believe he's gonna probably be back before the season starts. But at the end of the day, I don't like Jerry Jones discrediting the guys before after he's already paid them. That's just not good for your football team. And you could say it. Some people are saying that Jerry Jones seems like he has dementia and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, with Jerry, I don't know what's going on with him, but you can't come into your press conference and take a shot at the two most impactful players on your defense, especially going into a season where we made a whole video an all in season for the Dallas Cowboys, and not just only an all in season for the Cowboys, but also not only just an all-in season for the Cowboys, but also a season that you're trying to win. You don't go out there and trade for George Pickens if you're not trying to win this season. You don't go out there and give Dak Prescott the extension last year if you're not trying to win this season. You don't go out there and get into contract negotiations with Micah if you're not trying to win this season. And you don't go out there and pay CD last season if you're not trying to win this season. So I believe like you don't do that. You just don't do that. And then with Trayvon, I don't see anything wrong with it. He pulled up to training camp like he was supposed to. He wants to rehab outside of the Cowboys facility. I don't see the problem with that. Trying to go at his own pace and stuff like that because as long as he's gonna be there and as long as he's doing whatever he can do to get on the football field, I think you can't discredit him from that. That really, as a person, that really hurts you because you feel like you're trying to do everything you can put into this football team. And this is not only a guy that this is his first injury. He's dealt with injuries in past years. That's nothing. That's not something you should tell him. And with Micah Parsons, at the end of the day, Jerry Jones has put himself into a situation where now he's overvalued Micah Parsons, where now he has to overvalue Micah Parsons. And I'm not saying like it's a problem with that, but at the end of the day, if he never put himself into the mistake of waiting for a Miles Garrett to get paid, waiting for a Max Crosby to get paid, waiting for a TJ Watt to get paid, he wouldn't be having the numbers that are coming up to him like it is at right now. It wouldn't be. And I've always said it like they could have saved 10 million to 12 million dollars if they would have paid him last season. And they didn't do that. And now he's trying to find something else to blame. Jerry Jones, this was on you, man. To be completely honest with you, this was all on you right here. This was literally on you. And now you're going to have to pay for your mistakes because the worst thing you could have done was wait for the three other most impactful players in on the defensive side to get paid before your guy got paid. That's why the Browns were like, we either trade him or we pay Miles Garrett right now. That's why the Steelers were like, all right, this number could go up for TJ Watt if we wait for Micah to get paid. And they understood that. And now Jerry Jones is on the backside where he's finding other things to blame outside of himself for this situation. And at the end of the day, with Micah, you just got to stay in there. I hope Micah keeps on coming to training camp, but I understand if he doesn't. I mean, one thing I think about is all right, the contract negotiations and stuff, but to go out there and take a personal shot, um, to take a personal shot at your guy in front of everybody, I just don't feel like that's right. So if he feels the need to say, all right, I love you, Shawty. I love you, Dak, but I gotta do what's best for my life and my commitment. You can't blame him for that. As a Cowboys fan, you gotta just go out there and say, all right, cool. We'll see what happens, and we'll move on with the next day. But yeah, that's my reaction off of my first day off of just Cowboys reactions. We'll break down more tomorrow on the cornerback group and just the overall depth chart of the Cowboys. But that's my day one reactions off of this Dallas Cowboys team. And yeah, we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the training camp and throughout the rest of the season. Preseason starts in 2 weeks, I believe. So we'll see what happens with there. But yes, thank y'all for listening to this episode of Duff Talk with 2-4. Thank y'all for showing the support, and we'll see you next time.